Hi there, welcome back. This is Vince of vinceprep.com and Agos Admissions Consulting, analyzing the Kellogg essays. This is part 2 of this series talking about Essay 2 for Kellogg. This is for the Kellogg Full-Time MBA program class that starts in 2016, those of you trying to join the MBA class of 2018. Let's take a look at the question. Here goes. Pursuing an MBA is a catalyst for personal and professional growth. How have you grown in the past? How do you intend to grow at Kellogg? So it's all about growth. Their admissions director, Beth, has done you all a very big favor on her blog. She's written a lot. She's given you sort of her assessment, her analysis, her tips, her suggestions on how to write this essay. I've rearranged her tips, by the way, but these are all her words. And I'll be paraphrasing what she's written on her over at the Kellogg Admissions blog. So this is the end of her comment. I put it at the top because I think this is important to start here. Isn't this just the same old why Kellogg question in a different form? Those of you applying for the first time to Kellogg don't know what she's talking about, but in the past, Kellogg, like Berkeley, like Tuck, like Wharton, had a sort of goal essay. What's your goal? Why do you need an MBA? Why Kellogg? Why now? Sort of standard question. It's a good question, though. The schools have moved away from it, but I think they're doing a bit of a disservice to you, the applicant. They get tired of sort of reading the same sort of answers or formulas, but for me, as a consultant, as an admissions consultant, it's the first thing I want to know when I work with a client is, why do you want this degree, and why do you want to go to Kellogg or Wharton or MIT or Chicago or London or Stanford or Harvard or any of these schools? But anyway, they're sort of tired of it, and so they're not giving you the chance to copy and paste your goal essay for some other school. You know, in terms of deadlines, in round 1, Kellogg comes after some other schools. Kellogg comes after Harvard, for example. Kellogg in round 1 comes on the same day as Stanford. For Stanford, you're going to write a goal essay, why Stanford. For Berkeley, which is after Kellogg, but you're going to write a goal essay. Anyway, you may very well have already written a why MBA. My short-term goal is X, my long-term goal is Y. I need an MBA in general to achieve X because blah, blah, blah. I need an MBA in general to achieve Y, long-term goal, blah, 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 then Y Kellogg. She doesn't want to read that essay. She's deliberately made this new question. It's no accident. It is no mistake. So for you to start by copying and pasting your goal essay is a total waste of time. Me as a consultant, if I'm your advisor, I don't want to read it. I've seen it. I've seen it before if I'm working with you for more than one school. And also I think you need to throw it out and scrap and build and start again from zero and answer this question. So let's go deeper into what she means by this question. She says, you are a bright, successful person, and that's part of the reason you want to attend business school. You aren't going to invest all the time, energy, and money it takes to go through business school to stay the same. Okay, she's talking about you, the applicant. She says, you want to grow, you want to change, you want to grow, you want to be brighter and more successful. Let's hear about it. So she's basically saying, she's sort of trying to motivate you in a very Kellogg sort of way, a very positive, complimentary way to tell you, basically, take some time to look back over your life. What do you think brought you to this point? What stretched you and made you who you are today? What might be your unique background, or what might your unique background contribute to your Kellogg classmates? So she's bringing up this topic here about contribution, right? So part 1 of this question is all about the past. Up until now, I have grown in my life. I did, my first career was as a middle and high school teacher. running a nonprofit education program. I then did some professional Shakespearean acting, which built upon the improv acting that I had done in college at Stanford as a founding member of the Stanford Improvisers and the education director. So I've been a nonprofit education director, a classroom teacher, an actor and theater education director for, wacky comedy, sketch, improvisation, pure creativity in a team setting, and also Shakespeare, traditional English, classic acting. And then for the last 15 years, I've been doing this admissions consulting work, helping clients, mostly in Japan, but also clients around the world, get admitted to top schools. I've grown in my professional career fundamentally teaching people how to think and how to write and how to communicate on paper and in person. Everything I've ever done has been about that professionally. So I've grown. I've also taken leadership outside of my Vince Prep and my company where I work, Agos, in this organization here, AGAC, which is the industry association, the admissions consultants association, the professional group that tries to represent you, the applicants, when we talk to the admissions directors to have a dialogue about the admissions process, so we can give you good advice that will help you grow in your career to choose the right school, explain yourself in a way they can understand, and connect your message to their program so you can not only get admitted but be successful, before, during, and after your MBA program. So that's my growth up until now. How do I want to grow at Kellogg? Probably if there's a educational technology club, I'm going to run it, because my goals are still involving helping people communicate their ideas in writing and in person, essentially in essays and in interviews. But I want to use technology. About half of what I do could be done by a computer. Pulling out your best stories, organizing them, helping you select them, applying some criteria to organize your ideas, helping you understand the deadlines of the schools and organize all your information, and also assess yourself and have some soft skills assessments and match that up and find a career for yourself, and a lot, suggesting schools that fit that profile. A lot of that is data driven, and anything that's data driven can be very well done by a machine. On top of that is all the soft skill and all the relationship stuff, which I still think I do better than a computer, hopefully, for a little while longer. So, but at Kellogg, if I were getting an MBA, I'd be getting it to take my career to the next level, to scale what I do to a certain extent, to create some tools that allow to give a lot of the knowledge that I have in my head from 15 years of experience, sort of give it away to the market, to the world, sort of democratize the process, share a lot of data using technology and tools. So I'd want an app on your mobile phone that's sort of a virtual Vince that gets you most of the way through the process, and then at some point, as you like, if you need, you'd be able to hire a professional to help you sort it all out and actually practice it like a live coach, or a video-based Skype thing, whatever it is. Anyway, if I were going to Kellogg, I would talk about the growth that I would need to achieve that goal. But it's not just the same as my goal essay. I would tell this story from scratch for Kellogg. So that's my personal example to answer this question. A catalyst for personal and professional growth, about how I've grown in the past. I might also talk about being a father. My son just turned 10. My wife is Japanese. We're raising him to be bicultural and bilingual. He spends most of the year here in Tokyo, where we live, where we have a house. And then we go to California every chance we get so he can see his cousins and his aunt and his uncle and his grandparents, so he can feel confident as a half American, half Japanese kid. That's a big part of my life, and it's absolutely, probably, in reality, been the biggest source of growth for me. I might write about that. Yeah, I probably would write about that in my case. Anyway, let me give one more set of analysis from my friend and AGAC colleague Scott, who's a Kellogg MBA himself, so I think he has a lot to say about this. I didn't go to Kellogg. I don't have an MBA, and Scott does from Kellogg. So let me just paraphrase Scott's good advice, which is over at his blog. Assuming you have a good leadership growth story covered in Essay 1, then look for stories that will complement that nicely. How have you matured since graduating from college? What was a weakness you've overcome? What strengths have you developed with the help of senior colleagues and mentors? So, a weakness I've overcome, I would talk about time management. Moving to Tokyo, moving to Japan, a very punctual country, has helped me, a California boy, who never really did anything on time in his entire life, and sort of got away with it based just on charm, I guess. Japan kind of forced me to sort of man up and be on time for things. I don't know if I'd write that for Kellogg, but it's absolutely a weakness I've overcome. And back to Scott. Your story absolutely can come from your personal life. Indeed, those often make the most moving stories in an essay like this one. But the more recent, the better. So again, he's backing up what Beth says herself, which is, recent and meaningful, hopefully, in terms of growth. And then, in terms of your reasons for wanting to attend Kellogg, may have very little to do with the compelling growth story you identified in the first part of this prompt. When showing how you intend to grow at Kellogg, you should probably also cover why you need an MBA and why Kellogg best prepares you to achieve your post-MBA goals. I think that's very good advice, but one thing here that I just want to point out that Beth said, she says, and this is the last thing I'll say in this video because it's getting long, is don't get carried away telling us about Kellogg. Tell us about you. We know Kellogg. What you have is an opportunity to convey more about you. So this is not the typical... Scott's point is true, a little bit about why MBA and why Kellogg, but not too much. They really want to know about your growth up until now and your growth going forward. One can assume that they don't care much about your goal. That maybe one can assume they're a little bit more like MIT in that regard, which MIT very famously is known for saying publicly in their blogs and interviews and admissions events, they believe your goal very well may change once you get to MBA, so they don't want you to spend a lot of energy explaining a very detailed plan for post-MBA because they just want to admit wonderful people who have a bunch of ideas and a bunch of ambition who will then use the MBA to figure out what's next, because that's what, that's true for most people. So don't just copy and paste the goal essay you wrote for another school. Write a fresh outline from zero, scrap and build when answering your Kellogg essays. It takes time, but it's worth it in the end to show Kellogg that you're truly sincere and passionate about what they have to offer. Okay, that's it. As always, please subscribe to my YouTube channel to be the first to know when I've uploaded a new video. Best of luck with your Kellogg applications, and bye for now.
We on a world tour with my man, going each and every place with the mic in their hand. Chinatown, Spokane, London, Tokyo.